Trump is going to attend a private with the members of the Business Roundtable tomorrow, addressing one of the most powerful business lobbying groups in Washington. Joining us now, former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Good to have you on set.
Good morning,
Mr. Speaker. Good to see you. And I guess a lot of eyebrows have been raised as some of the people that you thought might never come back to Donald Trump have come back, whether it's some of the meetings in Silicon Valley and fundraisers, or Schwartzman, or whatever. But the Business Roundtable, we're talking Josh Bolten, who was chief of staff for George W. Bush, and really it kind of represents the old guard of the Republican Party and conservatives. That group does, in terms of no tariffs and a lot of things that Trump is sort of turned upside down in a populist way. So what does it mean that they've invited him in? And is it still a frosty relationship, or are they actually embracing him because there's nothing else they can do at this point?
I think they see what everybody else see, that he is going to win. I mean, if you look at who's in that room, but if you look at, I was just with the president.
He's going to win what?
He's going to win the presidency.
You think so? Okay.
And if he's going to win the presidency, the CEOs need to be on.
Yeah, they need to be on board. But if you think of these names, if you think, I was just with him Monday in Palm Beach, but the president just came through California. I saw people who have never given to Trump, who would avoid Trump, not only giving him big money, but putting their name out there and showing up. And this is all after the conviction. It's almost that they're frustrated by what has transpired, that they feel that it's coming after them too. And the Business Roundtable, I think, having the president in there, what it tells to your viewers is the next administration, businesses aren't going to focus on ESG and DEI. They're going to focus on running a business. And I think it's going to be stronger for America and the others. And it's not, look, I've been on this show many times, even in the primary, telling you he was going to win, and he's going to win the general. If you purely look at data, which your viewers do, and if you look at where President Trump was as an incumbent 4 years ago now, it's an 8.4% swing. If you think about the election, Biden won, but he only won by 48,918 votes. Yeah. And his favorability was plus 10. Biden is sitting at a 37% favorability right now, the lowest of any president at this moment in time. So if you check pure data, it's fundamentally different. And if you look at the Electoral College and those 6 swing states, you can't say 6 anymore, because Virginia and Minnesota's coming into play. I was just texting with Governor Youngkin this morning, and you're seeing something different. So if Trump is expanding the playing field, whichever side is on offense has a better chance to win. The Senate is an excellent map for Republicans. The House, they have a better chance of winning this cycle than they did the last 2 cycles, and we won the best.
Ask you about a lot of Trump's stated policies are still not what the Business Roundtable would put on its list of priorities. How do they reconcile 10% tariffs on everything? How do they reconcile some of these populist?
But you're assuming the Business Roundtable is right about everything. They've been wrong about China. I mean, I think the one thing when you thought back in 2016, a lot of people were upset with Trump and the Business Roundtable saying he might be wrong about China. Now everybody has shifted back.
The Business Roundtable embraced DEI too. Yes. I remember calling those guys.
And they were wrong there. And look, when we look at the future, you have people on here all the time about AI. And next time I come back, I got some exciting news of something I'm going to announce following on the things I worked in Congress. If you want an AI future, you really first have to look at the grid. We've got to expand our grid and double it. And who's better to do that than Donald Trump?
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that the CEO community and even the Business Roundtable, which of course had spoken out against the president after January 6th, and even prior to that, there were so many business leaders who had joined various committees and things to try to advise the president, if you remember, and then stepped away after Charlottesville and the like. Do you believe that they're doing this because it's a binary choice to them, and it's who they dislike more? It's that they actually now like Trump and they don't remember what happened before? Is there some kind of amnesia effect going on? What do you think is happening here? No, I'm trying to understand.
Okay, there's a combination, but it's not just the CEOs. If you look at the CNN poll, which was done probably 3 weeks ago. They asked America, all Americans, was the Trump presidency positive? 55% yes, said yes. But if you go back 4 years or 3 years ago, it was at 41%. I think it's a combination.
So is it they're romanticizing the past? I mean, what do you...
Well, you're now living under the policies of Biden. This election is more about Biden than it is about Trump. And so when you look at the current policies, people are more concerned about the border, inflation, right. And they remember, even if you're in the business roundtable, there was also, if you wanted to support Trump, you got blowback. Now they're feeling they could actually say what they truly mean, a number of them. And I think some people, have you laid it out, could be in that position. But it's more so they see a better position on policies comparing these two individuals who have been president for the last 8 years.
Right. Speaker McCarthy, there's new Pew research out that suggests when they polled in 34 different nations, they found that these other nations had more confidence in Biden than Trump, 43% to 28%. I don't know what that means. 43% is not great either. It means more than half of them don't have any confidence in either of our leaders. But what does this mean for us on the world stage?
I would tell you, as America as a whole, Americans need to stop demonizing each other. We fight over small things instead of planning out for the next 50 years. And that's what I want to come back in a couple months and lay out what we can accomplish there. I've spent some time since leaving Congress traveling the world. I've just was over in Asia, meeting with a lot of different foreign leaders, and I still talk to a lot of different foreign leaders. If you see what's happening in Europe today, those current foreign leaders are really not in touch with their constituents. You see a more conservative movement, and a lot of that is spurred by Trump. So I really don't believe in that poll. I have talked to foreign leaders that are in office today that felt the world is safer when Trump's in office, because they now see that you got a new axis of evil where China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran have bound together, which didn't happen.
Which country leaders are telling you that?
Kevin,
just so we know.
Well, we just had an IEA report that says there's going to be a glut of oil, and OPEC's got to worry about it because we're producing so much here now, believe it or not. So, how do you is the narrative still that Biden is choking off the fossil fuel industry when we're at records, and as a result, how does Trump walk in on day one and cure inflation like he says he's going to do if you've already got basically, 78's not great, and gas prices are still $3.50, but we're producing a lot of oil and a lot of fossil fuel. Biden's been unable. I mean, I don't think Democrats probably don't want to take credit for that, obviously, because of climate change.
But where Biden has harmed us, all right? He doesn't have permitting reform. We are able to get some NEPA reform in the debt.
So we need even more oil.
We have to double our grid. But some of the greatest strength we have is our natural gas. We are the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. If we simply replace Russian natural gas in Europe for 1 year, we lower CO2 emissions by 218 million tons because ours is 40% cleaner. Biden came in and has now stopped the movement of natural gas, which harms our allies in Europe. It would strengthen our economy. And you've got to look at the energy policy kind of the way Trump did. It's all the above.
Okay, how do we bring inflation down? What do you do? By firing Jay Powell and putting a guy in that'll bring rates down to zero again?
Well, look, no, that's not going to hurt. But one of the biggest drivers and one of the biggest problems we have is our debt.
Right.
Government is spending way too much.
So he'll extend the tax cuts and the debt will stay where it is, right?
Well, if you think the tax cuts are creating the debt, you're not looking at the real problem here. The tax cuts are not creating the debt. It's these entitlements in which you're spending.
Right. He doesn't want to
control.
He doesn't want to do anything about entitlements, Social Security or Medicare.
It doesn't matter what party is in office. If they don't deal with this, they will have to.
Right.
Because the cuts will come out. You have to save Medicare and Social Security. You've got to deal with it now. The options are greater. And look, I proposed to President Biden at the time we were doing the debt ceiling, let's deal with it the way we dealt with BRAC. Let's make a bipartisan group. It comes out with an idea. Everybody gets appointments. But you get a vote up or down, no amendments. It's how Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill dealt with Social Security in the past. And I think it's put us on a better path.
You going to watch the debate?
Oh, yeah.
I know we got to go, but I got to ask about Mace.
Yes.
Because
we got
to ask about Mace. I want to know what you think's going on here, because your leadership PAC, I think, is supporting the other side of this,
And Trump
this
just-
situation.
I think Trump finally.
I think it reads, the thing I saw within there, if you look at the polling, a Trump endorsement mattered 38%. After the conviction, it mattered 68%. President Trump is stronger today than he has been at any other time.
Well, then you're on the wrong side of this one, then, right?
No, I think what you really want to look at, if you're going to look at the race that's coming up, June 18th is the main race. This is Bob Good versus John McGuire, a state senator, a Navy SEAL, and if you look, President Trump and I are supporting John McGuire. And I think John McGuire is going to have a very big night that night. We'll send a very clear message that the Republican Party and Donald Trump needs conservatives who are willing to govern. You can't say no and solve
But
these
what about the
problems.
Nancy Mace of it all?
Well, I think President Trump's endorsement mattered a great deal for Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace was able to pull out a race last night and able to move forward.
Was that frustrate you, upset you? Were you,
Look,
your money, it wasn't your money, but it was your money was playing the other side of this.
no, there was money coming on all sides. I mean, people have all concerns about that. Look, my focus right now is making sure Republicans keep the majority. I've been fundraising for President Trump. I'm trying to fill the hole in Congress for the Republican side. I'm looking at the issues from AI, from energy, from China that we dealt with in there. How are we best set when we take the majority? What can we achieve, and where we can move America forward? That's my focus.
You see what a quagmire.
I'm just saying, there's very strange bedfellows here.
It's a quagmire. It's a quagmire. And what happens in a quagmire? You get these two guys running. That's what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.